Recording. Check. Sunday night. Just drove through town in the new company truck. Spent a good chunk of the day emptying out my old truck and all of its contents, equipment, putting it into the new truck, giving the old truck a good cleaning and detailing before sending it back to God knows where. Perhaps I might buy that old truck, depending on what my company decides to sell it for. But, gotta say, I'm liking the new one. She's smooth. She purrs. And, well, as you can see, the sun is setting. Nothing like a Sunday drive. Pumping some southern 70s rock and roll. Unlike what most of the people in this little town would choose to play on their radio. Bunch of country bumpkins out here. Not to say that I don't like country myself, but I don't often hear the sweet sounds of 70s rock and roll coming out of anybody's car stereo. Not too often at all. Anyway, driving around, I'm just thinking, I'm having one of those moments where I'm happy. And I'm happy most of the time, I gotta say. And it gets me thinking about life and just how I really don't have much to worry about. Now, I took a drive at the north end of town where all the nice houses are. And all the nice houses, they are nice. They are big. They have acreage. And there's a few plots of land up there that are for sale that I've had my eye on. And I can't help but think of how I can make more money to build a home out there with ease and not go into an exorbitant amount of debt doing so. Which gets me thinking about what I'm doing here on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and what I'm attempting to do and failing horribly on Kick. That all comes down to formulating an audience that I will be quite honest about. I'm trying to form an audience so I can sell my comics. That will be the thing that I derive money from the most. One could only dream that here on YouTube I could have a big enough audience and a big enough viewership that I could make some money off of these videos, but I don't know. I don't know if I have the energy for it. My job keeps me pretty busy, so between that and the free time I have at home that I use to actually make my book, it's going to take some real dedication to this YouTube channel to make a thought-provoking viral video that gets me a lot of followers and will hopefully keep them coming back. So now when I think about this YouTube channel and what I could actually do on it, I'm steadily running out of ideas. I'm never going to resort to AI to formulate a script for me. I think with practice, I can become better at formulating my sentences, my words, and my flow on here so that I'm not absolutely boring my audience to death. I think with time, I can touch on subjects that perhaps most people aren't. And like the AI thing, I don't want to read an AI script, but at the same time I also don't want to copy the other subject matter and content that I would say other creators like myself are are typically doing. Um, I see a lot of guys, and I would say I frequent their channels for something to listen to in the truck while I'm working around here. It says background noise, but it all the stuff I've been listening to that I see gaining lots of traction and popularity online, it it seems to revolve around manosphere type subjects, red pills type subjects. So I don't necessarily want to start another channel that shits on women, even though I could definitely add my 2 cents on the topic. I don't want to start another channel that is all doom and gloom. I don't want to start another channel that coaches young men on how to get chicks or how to keep them. Although I could definitely add my 2 cents. Had so much experience in my life, and when I get thinking about it, I could really extrapolate on a lot of that. And I'm sure if it's the right topic and the right mode that I'm in where I'm talking, I could definitely provide some advice or guidance to anyone who chose to listen in. But as I'm saying, I don't want to kind of copy this rhythm that I see all these other people doing. I want to promote more positivity. I think it's all too easy to stay down in the dumps and focus on what you don't have. And I think, and you know, I've come off of that bitterness a long time ago, and my life is living proof that if you choose to focus on what you have and work towards the things you want, that some way somehow it will shape out for you. May not be exactly what you have dreamed, but you will eventually get there some way or another, and it'll surprise you. You'll be driving through on a Sunday night right through town with the sun setting around you, and it'll hit you like a ton of bricks that I made some good choices and life isn't so bad. So I guess on that topic, it comes down to, you know, giving up the grudge. And I don't want to be some kind of trendsetter. I'm obviously young men that are in these mind spaces. They want to connect with, and I would say a lot of the guys that are making these videos, manosphere, red pill kind of videos, touching on the subjects I mentioned, they are they're about my age. They're anywhere from their early 30s to their early 40s, mid 40s, like me. I'm 40. So I don't want to I just don't want to focus too much on the negative stuff. That's because that's all I hear across the board. I follow and I join that one feller's streams from time to time. He entertains the fuck out of me. Um, Raymond, thoughts and minds, thoughts and mine. And he's a character, all right. And again, smart guy, very articulate, very experienced in his different fields of expertise and work. But I see him, he's kind of got a stalemate in life where he's got a lucrative YouTube channel and Kick channel, but he's so gosh darn depressed. And I usually have him playing when I'm working here. And when he has his live streams on, I'll join in. Honestly, I'd love to talk to the guy, but if you know Raymond, I would say that you have to try to not be like that guy. There's a part of me that thinks that maybe he does it for like the algorithm. Obviously, what he does, it captivates an audience. But there's another part of me that sees like a very genuine, frustrated person who hasn't met up to their dreams of themselves in life, and it's starting to wear on them. Now, he has some other problems too. Struggling to find himself a woman. And I think that's what initially turned me on to his channel was I feel the same struggle. Now, I've never really had much hardships in the way of finding females. And I don't say that to brag or anything. I just think even where I stand, and I've dated many women, I see how negative the view towards male and female relationships is nowadays, and this whole manosphere thing has really grown in size and volume, and is really calling out all the bad things that females can do, which again I can add my 2 cents on. There's a lot of it that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of it that I would say is absolutely true. But again, focusing in on that negative stuff and not putting your energy into something that's going to make your life better, make you appear attractive in the other person's eyes. If you're walking around with a grudge, with a chip on your shoulder all the time, I mean, it starts to show through. It starts to age you. Your hairs go gray. Your whole existence becomes a black cloud. And people feel that. And it takes you'll end up alienating a lot of people, and it'll take a very select few, and those people are very few in this world, I can tell you that are willing to stick around you. I identify with Raymond a lot because he, like me, lives in a small little town. So he doesn't really have a social life. I don't really have a social life. And seemingly, I mean, he streams every single day, which I would like to do as well. But I do have a full-time job that I work quite often, and a lot of overtime in addition. So juggling, like I said, the things I've got going on, I don't know if streaming is necessarily going to fit well in the order of things, but streaming seems like a really viable way to actually draw that income that I so desire, that extra income that I so desire, which would also in turn lead to possible sales of my book and other streams of revenue. But yeah, I identify with him because he streams all the time, alone. He's a workaholic, and I respect that a lot. But and I know that when he's not streaming, at least he's talked about doing things in his life that are proactive in trying to become, number one, better for himself, but attractive to a female. So when I hear him complain, it hits a part of me that I can say, yeah, I know what that's like. And like I said at the beginning, a lot of the guys I listen to, they're all kind of talking about these same topics. The frustration of getting older, not having a woman or a family. The fact that we live in an economy that I guess it would favor. It's weird to own a home and to live like the American dream. The market would favor a couple with two incomes, with let's say an income of over $150,000 or more, in order to afford that type of lifestyle. Yet, in the modern day, people put off marriage until later in life. I guess it's more common nowadays to settle down in your 30s, have a family in your 30s, which is fine. But surpassing that time, like I remember myself getting over the age of 25 and starting to get a little frustrated that I couldn't lock down a girl, or that the ones that I ended up with it never seemed to work. I put my focus into my art and did what I had to do to make money, but time just started flying by, one year after another. And now I'm 40, and I'm really no closer to having that. For the last 2 years, I started a new career. I work my ass off at it. I continue to work my ass off at it. It gets better all the time. I get more knowledgeable. I get more experience. I learn, or I'm out at new projects all the time. There's not a lot of monotony in my job. There's a lot of downtime. There's some boring elements, which is fine. But I've been nose to the grindstone with that and my craft, and getting my health as good as one can possibly get it, so that trickles down positively through everything in my life. Make sure my health's good, my mental's good, work is good, finances are good. Check, 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 check. And now, it seems like the good Lord has provided an opportunity to start dating again, which I would say probably was never really ready to do it in the past. I've never been set up like I am now. Never been doing as well as I am now. And I did. I recently started talking to a gal. I was actually at work. I had been corresponding with her through email, and she and I had been talking to each other just about what the job entailed. She had something I needed, so I go to her. She gives it to me. Thank you. Very sweet. But I liked the way she typed. I liked the way she wrote her messages. I could tell she was a reader. she had well punctuated and formulated, you know, responses. So I was at her office, which is a mixing plant for concrete. She works in sales. And I was doing a job there, only going to be on site for about 20 minutes. I needed to collect something and hit the road. Well, I had to use the restroom, and I went into the office, and sure enough, I walked right by her office, and I saw her name on the door. I think I already knew she worked at particular that particular location, but there, sure enough, was her name on the door. And went to the restroom, took a leak, washed my hands, and on the way back, stopped in and said, "Hey, I'm Lupo," which I didn't introduce myself as. I gave her my real name. But and I think she took well to it, because we've been talking now on the phone for a few weeks. Afterwards, after I met her in person, I sent her an email through my personal email account, to which I asked her, "Hey, if you're single and you don't think this is too unprofessional, maybe you should give me your number, or here's my number, give me a call sometime." And then I said, I prefaced it with, if this is out of line, let's just pretend I didn't say anything and go back to business as usual. And to my surprise, she did. She messaged me, and she's very sweet. She's very, very conservative and traditional. And by that I mean she does not wear a lot of, I don't think she wears any makeup, period. When I met her, she had her hair back. She had just regular clothes, not like business formal or anything like that. Pair of jeans, blue eyes, wavy brown hair. She wears glasses. She's in very good shape. And no fake nails, no tattoos. And when I finally got that message from her, we started talking. So, it's been pretty good. We'll talk for hours when we talk. And it's a good back and forth. She seems to be very similar to me in the way she takes pride for the work she does. She's very anal, like I am. Holds herself to a high standard, like I do. She happens to be 15 years younger than me, which I said I would never date a girl younger than 28 or even 30. So she's very young. 15 years her senior I am. But she knows my age, and it hasn't deterred her from talking to me yet. Now, she lives in a town about an hour away from me. I live out here. But I think I definitely got her attention. And, who knows? Going forward, this could be a really nice summer. And, like our schedules are very similar. I'm technically a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but I work overtime mostly. Sometimes through the weekend, too, if need be. She's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and we both work in construction division. So when construction season gets really busy, so do I, and so does she. So I just, back to the point I was trying to make earlier, if I could break through here somehow on YouTube and make videos that people want to sit around and listen to, I would rather perpetuate positive stuff, positive information, I want people to give up the grudge. If you go through life constantly pointing your finger at everything because your life is seemingly not going well, whether it be girls or the government or the Jews or whatever. I mean, you just don't get anywhere. It keeps you stuck. If you're focused on all the things that are wrong with you all the time, you know, in my experience, I never had to be like Giga Chad to get a girl. I worked out. I keep myself in shape. I eat right now. That's about the only thing I really do. I worked out a lot as a teenager, which kind of gave my body muscle and definition. And then it was really easy to get back into shape in my 20s if I faltered. If I started eating wrong, that's when I usually would gain weight or start to feel lousy. So, but I attribute the ability to snap back into my body the way I like it to look, the way I like to feel now, mostly to diet, proper rest. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke pot anymore. Once I cut all that shit out, I really started honing in on the things that are most important to me. And be it the fact that I'm getting old, almost, I guess I'm 40 and a half years old now. Going forward, I want to try to maintain this feeling of a young man, because I do feel like a young man. Despite the grays on my face, I still have a nice baby face. Lines and wrinkles, they're going to come as you age, but when you wake up and you're ready to go, when you feel good, I mean, I want to hold on to that as long as I can. You know, you hear people talk negatively on the internet all the time. Oh, I don't want to be 80 years old. Who wants to be 80? And I used to think that way. I used to think, yeah, shit, why would I want to be 80 years old? Can't go out and hit on women. Can't move fast. My sight will probably be shitty. My hand might be all arthritic or whatever. Fucking gnarled up. But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe I can mitigate that somehow. I hate listening to these vloggers, these people online that, and even more so than just like the manosphere, but just this Gen Z, some of their attitude is like, what's the point of everything? With the economy going to shit, with the this, with the that, with girls and men and women hating each other, you know? You know, it's funny, out in this little bumfuck nowhere town, I don't really see that. I almost feel like I've gone through a time portal back to a time where the things that were valued here in America at its height, let's say in the 70s and 80s, it still is very much a part of the atmosphere here. People are slow. People are friendly. It's a very white town. It's, people go to church. I'm not a church guy. I'm not religious. I'm agnostic. But this town has a charm to it. And when I was given the job offer out here, I knew that it was going to be a different pace from what I was used to. I went from living in a city of 200,000 people when I lived in Canada to moving to and working in, for a few years, another city here in the States that was roughly about 100,000 people. Still very busy. I knew coming out here to a town of less than 2,000 people, it was going to be a culture shock. But I don't know. I kind of always had it in my head that I'd end up in a small town. You know, I had a tumultuous life. It was busy, and there was a lot of people that didn't matter. They didn't have my best interest. A lot of them, girls included. So being out here it's really good. And I would say to all these people that are frustrated out there, that seem to point their finger at everything, like, you got to take some accountability. You got to look really deep. If you're living in a city, that could be a legitimate thing to point your finger at and to be, begrudged over. It's hard to find yourself out there. It's hard to afford it. The housing market here is very affordable. You can stretch a buck quite a ways out here. It's also, and I do see some people out there. I like Jack Morgan too. Maybe you guys know about old Jack Morgan. He's probably my favorite of all of them. But Jack Morgan and I are similar in our frugal nature. And I hear him, honestly, he's probably the most positive of all of these people in the manosphere. He preaches being frugal. He preaches living well below your means, not being a status chaser, not being flashy. And that's the key. My uncle, he used to say, and he still does to this day, he said, shoot from the brush. And he'd say my name, shoot from the brush. And I like that, right? It's keep a low profile. And I do this. This is how I get by in life. And this is how I keep my sanity. And this is how I don't let all of this negative that I hear thwart my view of what reality really is. I think life truly is what you make it, and you truly do have to give it meaning. And you wanna shoot from the brush. You want to be unseen. You want to be conservative, meaning you conserve what you have. You spread it thin. You're choosy about who you spend your time with. Your time is the most valuable thing. Your health is the next most valuable thing. Being around anybody negative. And I mean, as I say this, I'm almost like coaching myself too, because I don't want to be around all that negative crap either. I was always empathetic growing up, and I guess I still have a little bit of that in me. And that's why sometimes I listen to people like Raymond and other people that are, I can feel their heart, like they're bleeding out online. I don't know if that's that sick part of us that like subconsciously enjoys watching others suffering, which I wouldn't say I enjoy watching a guy like Raymond suffer. I certainly don't. The empath that still is within me wants to reach out and try to help him. And I used to have friends like Raymond in my hometown that they just couldn't see themselves in the right light. They couldn't get it right. And so, I mean, those people, they're not like Raymond. They would latch on to me. And I kind of knew it in the back of my head, but I also knew that they looked up to me in some sense, that I was doing better in some capacity, and that they wanted to either emulate that or... But what I've learned over time is you really can't help people, So, back to my point, if I can make this channel into something that's worth people's time, I'd rather try to focus on what I know that you, the individual, us men, what we can do, given any situation that we're in, and how to face the brutal truths like Raymond's dealing with. He's bald. He thinks of himself as ugly. He bases this all off of what people say about him. I don't know if he really cares about it at the end of the day. He's a smart guy. So I think there's a part of him that's able to compartmentalize all that and not actually let it rule his life. But if you feed into it, it's gonna beat you down. It's gonna tear you right down. And life's too short to stay in the dumps all the time. You know, you got to simplify it. You got to take care of yourself. I wish everybody in the cities that is living what all these people online are complaining about, I wish I could just talk to all of them and say, you need to move to a town in buttfuck nowhere. And with it, you bring all the best parts of you and add to that community and try to improve it. And leave the city behind. It's for chumps anyway. Multicultural cesspools in the city. The clash of classism. The super rich and the super poor, and like a fucking street that divides them all. That's what I remember all through my years living in a city. But easier said than done. Always is. Anyway, we're at 36 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up. I don't know what I'm going to call this video. I'll think of something, and hopefully you clicked on it and you stuck around. Kind of went everywhere. But, yeah, that's my aim. I want to be positive. I'm as guilty as anybody to fall into the negative swing and down spiral. But obviously I have a propensity to pull myself out of the dumps and to self-help to get myself back up in spirit and to keep striving. Life ain't over until your heart stops. So you might as well make it the best you can. Give it the best meaning you possibly can. Nothing's guaranteed. Anyhow, if you're new and you're watching this first video and you like it, interact, engage how you may. I'd love to hear what people think. And if you would please, down in the About section of this video, I have a link to a Google Drive where you can read the first issue of my book, SIMPY the Cotton Wiener, for free. It's the first issue. You can view it in your browser as a PDF. You can download the PDF to your phone or your PC. Read it. Takes 15 minutes to get through, 20 if you want to take your time and take in all the jokes and nuance. But it would mean the world to me if you would do it. And by all means, if you really like it, show me some love and tell me what you thought. And if you really, really love it, why don't you share it with some people and have them follow along. I'll leave all my social handles. I didn't reinstate. I opened up another TikTok account, so I need help growing that. I need as much help as I can get. Plain and simple. And yeah, I'm Lupo. I'm the creator. I'm the owner of Dope Comics. And thank you if you've been spending some time listening to me rant this beautiful Sunday evening. All right. Stay positive, people. Good chat.